Our big item this year is a freaking apple tree branch.
Yeah, now if they were really professional, they would want the whole dang tree.
I was gonna say, if people don't bid a lot.
Hello, this is BlueStar, defender of Equestria, and this is my SeaquestriaFest panel, the Ponies and Villains of Maretime Bay 2024, character analysis of the main six and the supervillains. And quite a few things have definitely happened since the last time I did this panel, so there is much to talk about. So let's get started. Whoops. Too many clicks. Oh, there we go. So, in general, as sort of said as by Babylon 5, nobody here is exactly what they appear. Because they're not what I like to call just this characters. This is a shy pony, this is a adventurous pony. It's like they're more like real people in that they have more than one side to them. Like, Zip isn't just courageous and adventurous and likes flying, she's also interested in the sciences, and just wants to understand how things work. And Pip, and like her sister Pip is like, she's not the pink pony princess that you think that she is, but she has all these other interesting sides, like she likes spooky things. So, and no pony's perfect, they all have their good points and their not so good points. So, I'm gonna do this in what I like to call the good, the bad, and the cutie mark story. I'm gonna talk about their good points, and their also not so good points, because it wouldn't serve the characters in some ways to only talk about their good things, and some of those not so good things could be things that they have to face in the future. And since your Mark basically showed us the cutie mark stories, I want to talk a little bit about their story and what it says about the pony, and also do what I like to call a little bit of cutie mark analysis, and say what I think the cutie mark represents. So, starting off with Hitch, the element of kindness, where my only peace of mind is to be kind. It's like, kindness? Not what I was thinking, but totally fits Hitch's character, as we see in his cutie mark story, where, he's just playing with his friends on the beach, and then this mayor shows up, and they don't like, and she wants to join in, and they all say, like, no feelings allowed. Why? And, he knows and does what, and he says he does what any, kind person would do. She has stood up for her, and she, played with her too. So, I think that does reveal a lot of Hitch's character, because I think his cutie mark, in some ways, is kind of straightforward. It's like being, in some ways, the protector of Maretime Bay, the shield, and sort of the horseshoe, which I think sort of represents Maretime Bay. But also the two little green hearts. I guess sort of, in some ways, represent the critter magnet and his love for critters, and Sparky, and just being kind to everybody. Yes, Hitch, dad and rule-loving protector of Maretime Bay, and me, Hitch and my OC definitely have a lot of common in that, don't worry, I'll save you! Or at least that's kind of what we first see when we first see Hitch. But also being, the sheriff of Maretime being a pony of the law, it's like, rules, rule. In Tell Your Tale, he actually sang a whole song about this. So, that could sometimes lead to his not so good point that when there isn't a rule for him to follow, like in Growing Pains, where like magic is just growing out of control, and this is in some ways Hitch's worst nightmare, because magic almost by definition allows you to break all the rules. It's like you can break the laws of physics, the laws of gravity, in some cases even the laws of time. So here's this thing that doesn't have any rules, Hitch doesn't have any control of their understanding of it, and there's no rule for him to tell him how to handle this, so he almost defaults to almost emotion and almost what I like to call rush panicking. Whereas like, I don't know what I need to do, but I need to do something. Otherwise things are just gonna keep getting worse. So I have to do something, I have to do it right now. So, it leads to him doing a very rash, impulsive decision. But the good news is that he has his friends to help him with like, Hitch, no. And then that sort of snaps him out of it a little bit, and it's like, what am I doing? This isn't me. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm just scared, and magic has no rules. Rules are what I know. So yeah, so in some ways, Hitch in some ways has to learn sometimes to, not rely on the rules so much, and use his own, abilities and to decide what is the right thing to do. But I do like that he's more than just a strong sheriff, but he can still be a strong stallion character. I still like critters. And at first, like in the first part of Make Your Mark, I was kind of surprised. Like, he finds his egg on the beach, he does what any good sheriff would, he takes it, he takes care of it, but he's almost hiding it away, like, no, I can't let them see that I like critters, I'm the sheriff. But I think eventually he learns that he doesn't have to do that. And he's a scaredy cat, but he's no coward. Because there's a difference. That it is fun to watch the strong stallion sheriff be like, what was that noise? I'll just hold on to you, Sparky, in case you're scared. But yeah, I think in some ways that's okay, because people get scared of stuff and it is funny. But yeah, but he is no coward, because if he was a coward, he would have run out of the building and refused to not go in. And he's also a great dragon dad. And like all first-time parents, he's had a lot of lessons to learn. Like, yeah, you need to be worried, but you don't need to coat your entire office in plastic and bubble wrap. But he's definitely gotten the hang of this, but definitely a big thing that he's had to face during Make Your Mark. And in some ways, the ending of Make Your Mark might have in some ways dealt with this already, but at some time he's gonna have to let Sparky go. In some ways, the other worst nightmare for Hitch would be for there to be a knock on the door and have Sparky's mom show up and say, here, I'm here to take Sparky home. It's like, oh, I mean, he'd be happy for Sparky, but he'd kind of be sad for him, because as hard as it is to be a dragon dad, he loves being a dragon dad and taking care of Sparky. So, that might be in Hitch's future at some point, but at the same time, it's probably been resolved for now in Make Your Mark. And I also can't help but feel that in some ways, Hitch is sort of a representation of the Bronies, because not only is he the only stallion character in the cast of the main cast of a girl show, but he almost goes against what we would almost define as the strong sheriff character. I mean, he can like critters, and sometimes he's scared sometimes, but that doesn't mean he's not a strong character. That he doesn't have to pick. He can be both. And because again, it's part of his cutie mark. He's protector of Maretime Bay, but he also loves critters and just being kind to everybody. So, good for Hitch. Izzy, the element of creativity. It's not just junk, it just needs some love. I mean, her story was kind of straightforward in that, oh, she found there was a big pile of junk that was laying around Bridalwood, and every pony just sort of looks down on it and just says, oh, it's just garbage, it's worthless. But Izzy, with her amazing creativity and her ability to see potential in everything, says, oh, it's not just junk, I can actually do something with this. And she turns it all into this lovely teapot statue. And also, this is how she got her, in some ways, her, I was going to say catchphrase, but it's like, I'm just a unicorn that loves recycling. Oh wait, unicycling? Yay! I think her cutie mark is kind of straightforward in that it's, since she's basically a crafter, she, pins, buttons, and I guess it's hard because she just has a really big heart. Yes, Izzy, a crafty pony of implacable joy. Yes, because she's a talented artist, crafter, and upscaler. I mean, a unicycler. Because what Izzy's actually doing is actually a thing. It's called upscaling, where you take like a beat-in-a-bowl cabinet or something, and you fix it up, you paint it, and you go and you sell it at a profit. So you take these things that people just throw away, and you make them new and better in some ways, and you can turn them into something amazing. And as a crafter myself, I love that. Yes, she's always positive, not just because she's always happy all the time, but because she can see the potential in everything and every pony. Like, yes, this pile of junk, it's like, oh, I can take this piece and take that piece and put it together and make this, or, oh, what can I do with that? And as she says in an episode of Tell Your Tale, it's like second chances are her speciality. And she's definitely a little zany, but she has this lovely spiritual side where it's like her sparkle. It's so bright right now. And she also has, in some ways, untold wisdom that we see from time to time. Like in Alicorn, where she says to Sunny, it's like, you know, as an alicorn or an earth pony, you inspire us all to be better ponies. That's your true power. And she explains this because I carry the limitless knowledge of my unicorn ancestor. So, one of, in some ways, problems that Izzy initially has when she joins the Main Six is that I don't think she had many friends before, because as a pony of implacable joy in a forest full of unicorns that seem to be endlessly sad, I don't think she got along too well with those other ponies. It's like it's one set of the bunch of racers was like, get lost, I'm trying to be sad. So it's like we see, so she's living on the edge of the Bridlewood Forest almost by herself. So she says in Tell Your Tale, it's like, I've never lived with best friends before, because she's probably never had too many friends. But the good news is that she has them now, and she's learning. So, but at the same time, she still sometimes leaps before she looks and is oblivious to everything that's going on around her, which is why I still like this image. It's like, what's wrong? You're acting like there's an evil, scary presence lurking in the shadows behind me. That's because there is, Izzy. It was nice knowing you. Oh. Yeah, it's like sometimes she'll say something or do something before she fully thinks about what could happen afterwards. Like in Tell Your Tale, she's trying to find a ring to finish off the lantern, and she's disassembling the couch while the Main Six are still sitting on it, and it falls over. But the good news is I think Izzy is getting better with that, and is sometimes be like, oops, sorry, or like, just kidding. So I think she's working on that. And as an episode of Whirlpool Starlight, I think I got that right. Or did I get that backwards? But anyway, you know, made a prediction that her most magical creations are ahead of her. Maybe, because that prediction might have already come true with the board trot. But we shall see. But anyway, I just love Izzy. She's just so much fun. I just loved her creativity and her crafting abilities, and I look forward to learning more about her and seeing her more in the future. Sunny, the elements of hope. It's like, we don't need to fight. We can work this out, everybody. Because, yeah, I actually really liked Sunny's cutie mark story, because from a young age, it just shows that she just wanted to help. I mean, when most kids, set up lemonade stands, it's usually to fill their piggy bank so they can go and buy something else. But she wants to sell lemonade to donate to the library. That's amazing. And it also shows that, she was able to help these ponies sort out their differences, because, there's one couple left, the two ponies are fighting over it. And it's like, it's getting to the point where it's like, you see Argyle in the background slowly, like, walking forward, just sort of like, uh-oh, I better go and resolve this, because this is getting tense. But the thing is, he didn't have to. Because, she takes the cup, she divides it in two, it's like, here, you both get a cup. Sure, it's only half, but you each get some lemonade. So, and it shows that even as a filly, she was able to fix this, because she's a poor, 6-year-old kid here. You think she wouldn't be able to handle this, but she can. So, and I think this shows why she will be the Alicorn, because, if she could do this when she's 6, what is she going to be able to do when she's all grown up and, and with all these Alicorn powers as well? So, good for Sunny. And her cutie mark to me, in some ways I've never fully understood, but I think in some ways that, sort of like Twilight Sparkle's cutie mark, the 3 stars sort of represent, instead of their friends, represent the 3 pony kinds, I guess sort of coming together, and I guess the ponytail, because they're ponies, I'm sure, but recent episodes of Tell Your Tale could be implying there could be more to this, so we shall see. Yes, Sunny, an adorable ray of sunshine. Yes, a curious pony with so many questions, and just so adorable. It's like in this picture, it's like, I finally have your attention. Oh, it's like, I wish I could do that cute little giggle. She's happy or excited and stuff, because that's just so adorable. And she just wants to make the world a brighter place. Like in this episode, she first turns into an alicorn when it's like, I just want to help. And that is pretty cool in itself because let's just say it's not a very common thing that, that she's more focused on making the world better for every pony and not just herself. And as sort of the leader of the main six, she holds the ponies together and also inspires them to be better ponies. Like in a new generation, it's like the ponies come across this big chasm, there's no obvious way across. They're all like fighting, and one is like turn around and go home and stuff, and she's like, oh no, right now, everybody stop! We're gonna find a way across, we're gonna find the crystals, and we're gonna go and save Equestria! Okay, that wasn't the line, but that was definitely the sentiment. And again, with Khan showing that, Izzy's line where she says, like, yeah, she inspires the ponies to be better and to do more and to, be the best ponies that they can be and all those sorts of things as well. But so she can be sweet and understanding most of the time, but that scene of the new generation also shows that she can be strong and firm when she needs to be, which can be tough, because if you're sweet and nice all the time, it's like, it can be tough to be like, but she's shown that she can, and as an alicorn, that is definitely a good trait to have, because sometimes you need to be nice, and sometimes you need to be firm. And in some ways, I don't like focusing on all the bad points of Sunny, especially such a wonderful, hopeful bunny, but there is a point to this. But Sunny sometimes doubts herself because she, at one point, was the misfit pony that, almost didn't have any friends in town. Like, now with Khan, we learned that the popular pony sat next to the misfit pony. That had to be weird. And she's had to fight this fight for unity alone. And she's also lost her dad at a relatively young age. And at one point, Hitch, her life up front, says to her, if you keep doing this, I can't be your friend anymore. Like, ouch. So despite Sunny's outward sunny demeanor, there's some difficult things in there. But this shows why she is the alicorn of hope. That, as sort of said in Babylon 5 one time, is that it would bend, waver, and crack, but in the end it would hold. And that's what Sunny's done. Through everything that Sunny's been through, she's been strong, she's been hopeful. She's had those moments where she's, like, is this fight even worth fighting anymore? Like in a new generation where it's like they put the two pieces of the crystal together, it doesn't work. And then she's like, all I've done is made things worse. But then when she realizes that, wait, there's a third crystal? There's still a chance that we could fix this? She could still be like, well, it didn't work the last time, what makes you think it'll work this way? But no, she's right back, boom! It's like, there's a third crystal, let's do this! Because that's when you need hope the most. It's like, it's easy to be hopeful and happy when things are going well. It's when things are going wrong and things are falling to pieces and things aren't working well. That's when you need hope the most. So all of that shows that despite everything, Sunny deserves to be the alicorn of hope because she's always been hopeful regardless. And it is good to show sometimes that these characters are not perfect. They have feelings and emotions too. They'll have those low points. But they'll pick themselves up and go back to where they need to be. And I think Sunny has mastered most of her alicorn powers, but she still has much to learn about being an alicorn just in general, because she's done pretty well for herself, learning on her own, but I'm sure there's still so much more she has to learn. Like, Twilight had to learn, oh, I'm the alicorn of friendship. What does that mean? I have to spread the badge of friendship across Equestria. How do I do that? Oh, let's open up a school of friendship and teach all the ponies and creatures in and around Equestria about friendship, and hey, we'll spread the magic of friendship everywhere. I think Sunny is going to have to go on a similar, in some ways, journey, and particularly in Tell Your Tale is that we've learned that she knows about Skyros and is now actively looking for the other alicorns, so I most certainly that her journey as an alicorn will take her to Skyros, and there she'll probably learn a whole bunch of things about being an alicorn that she probably didn't even know that she needed to learn. But overall, I just love Sunny. She's just so joyful and happy and hopeful, and I think she's an amazing pony, and I look forward to seeing where her alicorn journey takes her. It's like the elements of courage. It's like, sure, it was scary, but the map said it would work. I actually really love Zip's cutie bar story because it shows so many different sides of Zip. It shows that, sure, she's courageous. She tried this thing that none of the other ponies were willing to try, but it also shows her scientific/analytical side, where it's like, she isn't just a child leaping off a tall thing. And like during my reaction, I felt kind of bad. It's like, no, don't do it. So maybe because I care about you, Zip, but I don't want you to get hurt. Or maybe I was channeling Queen Haven. It's like, no, dear, don't do that. But she spent all this time like working the angles, doing the math, you know, and figuring out, oh, if I do A, B, C, and D, this will actually work. But even so, it was still scary though. It's like, sure, the math says it'll work. It doesn't guarantee that something else won't go wrong. So it still shows that she's brave and willing to try something that other ponies haven't, and it's also inspired some pony else to get their cutie mark as well. It's like Zip's cutie mark is, in some ways, kind of straightforward, but at the same time, I remember hearing it's like, oh, it's like, Zip is like Rainbow Dash 2.0. And it's like, well, there's some similarities, but then I saw she practically has Rainbow Dash's cutie mark. But I guess the lightning bolt kind of almost, I mean, she describes it like, this is when I got this little Wonder Bolt. So I guess sort of referencing the Wonder Bolts, flying and adventure and courage and all those sorts of things. But also the crown, because she is, after all, the first in line to be queen. So I think that's what that represents. So, Zip, you know, inquisitive, courageous, and a princess of a different kind. Like, I really like Zip because she's sassy, confident, adventurous, and inquisitive. She wants to understand things just for the sake of understanding them. It's like, again, Twilight would be so proud. But yet, sometimes she can be unsure of herself, as we all are sometimes. Like, you know, in some ways it's kind of, in some ways, old news, but even still, in this first chapter of Make Your, it's like, she's like, oh, I don't really fit in here. Maybe I should listen to Mom and go back to Zephyr Heights and become the princess she wants me to be. So, And I do like that she's not rejecting her duties and saying, no, I will not be queen. She's saying, I'm not ready to take them on quite just yet because I still have so much to learn about myself and magic. And I kind of like that because, I mean, the basics are definitely not children, but they're still kind of young adults, so there's still things about themselves they don't understand yet. The good news is that I don't think, unless Queen Haven goes to an early retirement or something, I don't think she's going to have to be queen anytime soon. But it's clearly coming at some point, and that's definitely its own, you know, Zip's worst nightmare. It's like, oh, you're queen now. Oh. Because the thing I like about this universe is that being princess, queen, they're not just titles, they are things of leadership, responsibility, from doing boring things like paperwork to potentially putting yourself in physical danger to fight for your ponies. It's not a job I think most people would want to sign up for. So I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon, but it's definitely the thing that worries Zip the most, because yeah, once that happens, any chance of her pursuing her own interests and dreams is going to be over. So when and if that happens in the series is going to be interesting, and So now I want to talk about something called, what I like to call the visor paradox. And that I really like Zip's visor, it's cool, but does it actually help her? There's only a couple times where this is actually helping her, because the other times this is just sort of like, it's either unnecessary or excessive. Like, when she's chasing Misty in an episode of Make Your Mark, she is, I don't think there's one moment in this chase where she's more than 100 feet away from Misty at any one time. So it's like, you don't need the visor, she's standing right there. So, and I think that, and I kind of like it because, yeah, it almost represents technology itself. And that Zip is almost always better when she's relied on her own abilities and not just on her gadgets. And this is why I think Zip is starting to get the hang of being a detective and she's avoiding the common mistakes of being a detective. I'm like, no, it was you, wasn't it? Oh, no, folks. Maybe I should look at some of these other clues before I do that, so... And that, yes, in some ways she's trusting her own abilities and her own instincts more and less in her gadgets. But still, sometimes she can still get carried away, as we saw in Make Your Mark, where she's chasing Misty around town. I mean, even though it was actually Misty that did it, but yeah, she's doing less of the, yeah, I know it was you, and looking more, it's like, okay, I need to look more into this before I just go around accusing ponies. And again, so she's learning and she's improving because, yeah, I mean, Zip starts off like she never actually went to something like a detective academy, so she's had a lot to learn, but she's learning it. So overall, I really like Zip so much because she has so many of these different sides. She's not just courageous, she's scientific, she's analytical, she's a detective, and I hope we get, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with her in the future. It's like the element of confidence. If Zip can perform, so can I. And, aw, they're just so cute with their little sashes and their flags. Oh, they're just so adorable. Right. But anyway, it's like, yeah, it's like Zip's amazing, stunt inspired her sister Zip to also perform for the first time. And this is also how she gets her catchphrase, where it's like, Pip, Pip, hooray! And it's kind of so nice that the two sisters got their cutie marks together. And isn't it nice that courage and confidence are sisters? And yeah, Pip's cutie mark, I kind of like it because it's like, I think obviously the musical notes for being a performer, the squiggly line kind of reminds me of the analytical charts on the social media feeds. It's like how many views and likes and those sort of things that you have, which is definitely very important to Pip. And the crowd is actually underneath it, I guess sort of representing that she's second in line to the throne. So, it's like Pip, confidence, and definitely not the pink pony princess that you were expecting. She's a much more modern, casual princess. I mean, Zip and Pip both are these almost casual princesses. There's not like, it's like, what, a smoothie drinking competition? It's like, surely you jest, that is so below my lady's station. I know people don't really talk like that anymore, but that's what I think when I think of royalty. No, they're just like, yeah, it's more like, oh, yeah, we're princesses, but we're just ponies that happen to be princesses in some ways. But yeah, she's definitely a serious social media star, and I think this is actually a good thing, because things have changed a lot since Friendship is Magic premiered, is to be an understatement. Social media has definitely changed things, in both good and bad ways, and to have a character like Pip that sort of represents those things, enables the series to talk about those things, really good. And just like her sister, she's multi-talented. She's a singer, songwriter, and main stylist. At that point, it's like, well, we just met these characters, but I did not see that coming in the slightest. But good for Pip. And she has surprising interests, like she likes spooky things. Something else is like, it's like you think, oh, she's a princess. She's like, oh no, I'm gonna break a nail. Ugh, I don't like that. But it's like, no, she likes going to, like haunted houses. And like, this haunted house is spectacular. And while all the main six behind her are freaking out, it's like, just get us out of here. But she still has some of those sort of like drama queen things where it's like, I need an emergency restyling. But in some ways, those things have kind of been toned down a little bit. It's like, yeah, she's not above getting like her hoods a little bit dirty. It's like, oh, I need a polish for jazz. But But yeah, if something like, oh my gosh, it's starting to rain, or she falls into a bug puddle or into the water or something, she's gonna freak out and be like, oh my gosh, I need a restyling, help. So, definitely her not so good point is that definitely hoof taps are key, and or she can get wrapped up in social media. I still think I'm projecting with this image because this is me every Thursday. It's like, oh, I gotta edit this tell your tale reaction video. Because yeah, it's easy to get wrapped up in social media, especially, oh, this video is not doing well. Oh no, this person, they're doing better than me. It's like, why? They did almost a whole episode about this, and like Pip is just freaking out about, like, you know, it's like, the Philly 4 are doing better to me. Am I even relevant anymore? And she learns that, it's like, yeah, there's quickly a point where it's like, you know, this isn't fun anymore. And when it's not fun anymore, there's no point in doing social media. And yeah, it's not always about being perfect, and that you just have to be true to yourself. But I think Pip is definitely learning and dealing with those things. There's been episodes where she's actually put down her phone and like, what was it, Pega mindfulness, like when she puts down the phone and being like, you know, follow me, you know, later for this, but not today because I'm turning off my phone today. It's like, or telling Ponies, it's like, you know, the services here is terrible. You may as well not bother live streaming. And besides, be in the moment, Ponies. It's like, wow, I'm so proud of you, Pip. Because in some ways, yeah, sometimes that is the thing of that. Yeah, sometimes there's a button on the side of the phone, it says off. We should push it more often. But at the same time, I'm sure she really wished she had recorded like the wishing tree turning into the together tree though. But I really like Pip, that she never ceases to surprise me, and I love that. But she can definitely be a lot of fun, and I think it's great to have a social media star here that can represent all those things. And I just really like Pip. She's a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing her some more. This may take a while. Because I think Misty definitely earns prize for most character growth so far. Because Oshiomi starts off the minion of the supervillain and ends up joining one of the best group of friends ever. It's like, several chapters later, she finally knows who she is. Because, like, this moment is almost a crossroad for Misty. It's like, even though, yeah, she's already made up her mind at this point, it's like, she always has two choices. She could sit in that throne and be just, like, and be evil like Opaline, or she could do what she decides to do. It's like, I'd rather be a pony but without a cutie one day more than a pony who doesn't think. Yeah, and again, I would feel like Opaline's punishment by locking her in the tower was almost a mistake, because it enabled Misty to do the thing that she really needed to do, was, as sort of the line from Attack of the Clones was, I want to go home and rethink my life. That locking her in this tower, instead of her being sad and like, oh, I failed Opaline, she's like, you know, Opaline has lied to me. She says she's going to give me cutie mark, but she never does, even after everything I've done for her. And the main six, they've been nothing but nice to me, and all they want to be is my friend. And at that point, she decides that she doesn't want to be what Opaline tells her to anymore. And like, I don't want to take the pony's power anymore. Because, again, she's decided what is most important to her. Is it getting her cutie mark or being true to herself and her friends? And, again, she finally stops listening to what Opaline tells her to be and makes up her own mind. Which is why, in the end, she discovers that she has the ability to change. Which is why her cutie mark is a butterfly, and as in with the amazing foresight of cutie marks, is actually in the colors of her future mane. So, it's like Misty, the element of empathy, an empathetic pillar of quiet strength. It's like, after everything that she's been through, she can now see with empathy, because as I like to say, as I like to say, those who have the most to learn are in the end the most qualified to teach. Because they've been there. She knows what it feels like to be alone and being, you know, in this abusive relationship. And like Twilight, she was basically a loner. So she knows what it's like to be alone and not have friends. And then she eventually becomes the princess of friendship. So Misty is quiet but strong. She proves that strength isn't just about and being forceful and all that. Sometimes strength is being quiet in a room full of people that are shouting. That, like an episode of Tell Your Tale, it's like this giant monster is coming towards her, and all of her ponies are hiding behind like rock pillars and stuff, and she's just sitting there with her mantra, just saying, "I may seem a little quiet, but my strength is very real. When my cutie mark comes to life, my heart helps me feel." And that actually helps her to actually empathize with the monster, and he's not just Fantorp the Furious, he's more like Fantorp the sad and lonely because he lives in this cave all by himself. So they learn that they don't have to defeat the monster, that they can actually befriend him, and goes to prove the old saying, the best way to destroy an enemy is to make them your friend. But at the same time, she doesn't like being the center of attention. It's like, yeah, well, during the Cutie Blossom match, it's like Pip says, it's like, what, you don't like that? I think it means two things. It's like, what, you don't like being the center of attention? Because I love being the center of attention. But it's also like, oh, we didn't know that you didn't like being the center of attention. Oh, if we'd known that, we wouldn't have, wanted you to go out in front of every pony and parade in front of them. So there were parts of me that wanted her to almost overcome that fear and do that. But no, this is all about celebrating her and her cutie mark. So it truly makes her that uncomfortable, which isn't surprising because she's shy. She's lived most of her life locked in a tower away from all the other ponies. So I could not want you to do that. So if you truly don't want to do something, then don't. That's the other thing, is that Misty has learned to stand up for herself, and that's why, well, it's like, yeah, she's no longer just letting ponies, particularly Opaline, tell her what she should want or what she should do. She's, no, this isn't me, this isn't what I want to do, so I'm not going to do that. And I've always liked to think Misty, her name, kind of reminds me of a line from Babylon 5 from the Grey Council, is that we are grey, we stand between the darkness and the light. And certainly at first that's kind of true, because yeah, she's choosing between the minion, being the minion of the supervillain and being a member of the main six. But now that may no longer be true because now she's rolling with the main six. But at the same time, since she has the ability to change, her future in some ways is misty. I mean, I'm not saying she's going to turn back to the dark side or anything, but she could do this, she could do that. So her future is misty in some ways. And again, I'm going to talk about, hopefully briefly, why confront Opaline? Because she doesn't have a, just like all the other ponies, she doesn't have a chance of stopping her. But as she starts off saying, it's all about, it's like, I'm not going to let you do all these horrible things to me or my friends. But the other thing that I like is that she's doing this, as sort of the new Misty. It's not just in a place of like vengeance or anger and grrr, because yeah, there's two versions of this particular image. There's the grrr image, but there's also this one where she's confronting Opaline with empathy and almost sympathy. It's like she's expressing the way she's doing the one thing that she has never done to Opaline, is expressing exactly the way she thinks and feels about her. And yeah, some of that's angry, but there's also this empathy and almost sympathy. It's like, you were alone for so many moons, and you have all this power, but you still don't understand true friendship, because these aren't friends, they're just your minions. It's like, I actually feel really sorry for you. It's like, wow, what a thing to say to someone who's done all these horrible things to you. But this is the true Misty. This is the empathetic, strong Misty. And sure, Opaline, ties her up, throws her to the ground, and takes her cutie bar. Just like with this whole thing, it wasn't about defeating Opaline. It was about standing up to Opaline and not rolling over and letting Opaline do all these horrible things to her. So I'm so proud of you, Misty, because not only did you stand up, stood up to her in the empathetic strength that she now has. So I think that Misty's future in some ways is the student of magic, not a student of magic, the student of magic. In some ways, I don't like to use this reference, but she's almost going to be in some ways the Top Gun. Not because she's going to be this amazing magic, student, but because how Top Gun basically works, from my understanding, is that if you send these pilots from these squadrons to Top Gun, they go back to the squadrons and teach them all the things that they learned, because you just can't send everyone to Top Gun. So, yeah, the ponies have all had to start from zero. They don't even know what magic's capable of. So now Misty has become like that student that's gonna, okay, we learned Magic 101, but now Misty's gonna learn all the more advanced magic, the things that they don't even know that they can do. I guess Misty's, not so good points are the things that you may have to deal with. Again, sort of his own old news, but might be still coming back to, in some ways, haunt her is the shadows of her past, because sure, it's always Swirlpool Starlight dealt with this, but her literally facing her past. It's like, this is, new Misty confronting old Misty in some ways. But I still can't imagine that this is one of those things that you're just going to get over. You're just going to, I think most of the other ponies have. I don't think we're going to come across a situation where it's like, oh, you were the minion of Oakley, the one who did all these horrible, you helped her do all these horrible things to us. Yeah. But the hardest pony to forgive is yourself. But at the same time, again, it's like Misty shows how, she can be, and she is. Whereas, like, at first, she's like, I run down to this whirlpool and doesn't even want us to face this. But, Violet and Izzy remind her that, every pony does bad things sometimes. It doesn't mean that you are bad. And, you're the goodest pony I know. The universe will see that. Or else. And she goes back and, in some ways faces her past. And this Swirlpool Starlight with the mysterious magic voice says, Misty Bright Dawn, I see you as you really are. The deeds of your past are nothing compared to the wonders that await you. And sort of, so in some ways, it's kind of been dealt with, but you never know, this might come back in Misty's future, but we shall see. And sort of a minor thing that maybe just be a one-off thing for Major Mark was Misty's mist from that we see in Family Trees, where it's like when she was a filly, this mist comes out of nowhere and like teleports her to in front of the Dark Castle. And in the other part where she's in Bridalwood, the mist comes out of nowhere and it teleports her to a random point in Bridalwood. It almost feels like there's some kind of connection here. I mean, was this just simply a one-off thing for Major Mark to just get her in front of the Dark Castle and captured by Oakley? Maybe, maybe not, but we shall see. But in any case, I really love Misty. We all have the ability to change. That despite, it's like in some ways your past doesn't determine your future, you do. And there will always be things, ponies, everything that will tell you what you should and should not be. But it's up to you to decide what you want to do. And I think Misty represents hope for so many people. Love her, but she's also so nice and just sweet sometimes, and I look forward to seeing more. So, roar! Now it's time to turn to the dark side with the supervillains with Opally Arcada. It's like definitely the element of power. Well, I guess actually specifically the element of fire, I guess, but yeah, power is definitely her thing. And at first, it feels like she's just another supervillain who wants to take over the world. But I think it's more than that, because we learned that it's like, oh, they were the golden ponies and the favorites. Every pony loved them, but I saw through that. Because, this unfortunately is the situation that in some ways turns Oakley to the different side, because it's like, sure, they have the sun, and sure, they control the sun of the moon, but I'm an output of fire, of strength. Oh, look at all these amazing fire powers I have. Why does every pony ignore me? Yeah, I can't help but feel like, I'm not really sure if this is what really happened, but, because, sure, Oakley and Celestia, they're bright, times, but did they intentionally intend to blow off Opaline? I don't know, maybe we'll find out more in the future, but regardless, that Opaline is basically driven by almost envy. That in order to show just how strong and amazing she is, to get the attention and the respect that she deserves, it's like, not only will I defeat them, but I'm gonna steal all magic everywhere, and then they'll have no choice but to respect me. Yeah, and her cutie mark almost is her, I think, as a fire alicorn, which almost makes her just simply power. It's almost the anti-unity crystals in some way. I mean, it's sort of like kind of off topic slightly, but this almost proves that Celestia, Luna, Opaline are all natural born alicorns. Because unless they all did some sort of Princess Worthy thing when they were like kids or something, they were born alicorns. And also says that, well, since they're all about the same age, if Opaline's here, then Celestia and Luna are probably still here too. And Opaline's together tree, that she actually says that the tree that was surrounding the Dark Castle, it was her together tree, which meant that she and somebody else must have grown it. So who those ponies were and how they did that is an interesting story that I hope we get to learn in the future. It's like definitely Opaline Arcane now. An envious supervillain with a painful past. And I still like to think of her as a cunning, deceptive aristocrat. In that, unlike Twilight, it's like, oh, I'm an alicorn. I am so much better than every pony. I know best. These ponies are hopeless without me. So yes, be grateful you get to bask in my alicorn glory. But at the same time, I like that she kind of like, she believes in things like planning and recon, because it appears that she went up against the Main Six, the Friendship of Magic Main Six, and lost. So she is not just going to go and do the same mistakes that she did before and end up in an even worse position now. So before she busts out the front doors of the Crystal Palace, she wants to know what's inside there. What is she going to do there? Because she doesn't want to just bust out the front door and be staring at like a room full of guards and security devices and stuff. But it was an interesting thing that I kind of noticed that it almost feels like she doesn't want to do anything herself. Because when she's getting the Dragonstone for the first time, this Dragonstone is falling down this crevasse, and at one point she's like, magic, seize it! Wait a minute, is she ordering her own magic around? That's like saying, arm, raise up! Oh, I have to do this myself. I always feel like that's her. She wants to be a princess, but she doesn't have any minions or any, other than Misty, she doesn't have any minions or subjects to order around. And she's still like, so, yeah, you do that. Oh, wait, I still have to do this myself. And it still is kind of true. It's like, I'm an alicorn, all magic is rightfully mine. And yeah, that she literally wants all magic because she wants to have all the power. So the ponies will have no choice but to respect her. And she almost feels like the polar opposite of Sunny, that it's almost a whole panel in itself why they're different, but it's like Sunny is trying to raise the ponies up and try to inspire them to be better and to improve themselves. Opaline is almost like, you're hopeless without me, so I have to lead you. But unfortunately, in the end, she chooses poorly. And also sort of to prove that selfishness is ultimately self-destructive, because she thinks these are her friends and stuff, but in the end, basically, she's lost all her magic, all her powers, and everything. She's standing in the room basically alone, and yeah, she almost in some way, Make Your Mark was so much better than this to Tell Your Tale was. They clearly show that Opaline in some ways has a choice. That sure, the tree is taking her cutie mark, and I think most ponies respond to be like, no, my cutie mark. But they're making clear it's like, my cutie mark, my power. It's more like she's chasing after a sword over a cliff, and she goes over the cliff with it when she did have the opportunity to run out and possibly escape. So yeah, so this appears to be the end for Opaline, but Tell Your Tale implies that maybe it's not. But then again, it's not the first time a supervillain or someone has said, I'll be back, and they weren't. So whether this is the end or not for Opaline is an interesting thing, and as defender of Equestria, I am glad that this evil pony was finally defeated, but as an analyst, I feel kind of sad for her, because, again, she chooses poorly when, you know, even Sunny gives her the chance to change, but instead she ends up alone. But in any case, I liked Opaline. She was definitely a smart supervillain who was definitely more than just, I am here to take over the world. And I think she was a great supervillain, and whether we see her again in the future, I definitely liked Opaline, and we shall see what happens or doesn't happen with her in the future. Yes, Allura in Twitch, a quiet, cunning supervillain, maybe more than she appears. What? 10? Oh yes. Thank you. It's like, I just love her voice. It's just so alluring. It sounds almost calming, but yet threatening at the same time. It's almost, I know I'm intimidating, but you can trust me, right? It's like, yes, it's like she's whispering, almost quiet, like even when she's shouting. Which, that has to be hard for a voice actor. There's always a moment in the walkie-talkie, like she almost breaks character, but there's no way to be shouting and whispering at the same time. I mean, could this be revealing something about her character? We shall see. And at first, I felt like she's driven by the typical thing supervillains want. It's like, oh, I want this thing and I don't care. And at the cost I have to get it at. But she could be more than she appears. Mainly because she has a cutie mark? It's like, cutie marks no longer appear to be a pony thing anymore. It's like the dragons have them, Allura has them, the sea ponies have them. So that might be something in itself, perhaps. We shall see. I mean, knowing that she's all about these portals and everything, it almost feels like this swirly thing is a portal, and perhaps the big star with the purple thing in the middle is supposed to represent her. So, interesting. And definitely she is persuasive, which is quite a pretty formidable power. It's like she could just walk up to somebody and just be like, you know, basically just tell them to do something and she'll just do it, and then they'll do it. And yeah, the magic snowballs may have fixed this in Starlight Ridge, but now that she's at Maretime Bay, it'll be interesting to see how or if the ponies can overcome that. And Tell Your Tale also confirms that she has magic ice powers. And that in this picture she's basically freezing the forest all over the place, and that she has almost like these magical like blast things. And I once did a video that it was kind of strange in that, you know, magic almost seems like it has to act through something, like, you know, a horn, a claw, or something. But I guess it's her eyes. It's the glowing ice eyes. And another interesting thing that is slightly concerning is she knows about alicorns. But the thing that's almost more disturbing is she just completely crushes it out for all of its, an alicorn. How cute. So, that can't be good. But it appears that she is different from her brother. Because it's like, it's only a couple lines, but it could be so revealing to her character and what's going on here. It's like, her brother is like, you fool, you had the star the whole time. Don't worry, brother, I'll get it back. It's like, do you hear the difference? The brother is strong, commanding, and it's like, you fool. Well, she's like being like, oh, right, brother, don't worry, I'll handle it. It may be that maybe she's a minion herself, but we shall see, because this whole thing is like, even, where is her brother? Where is he, like hiding in the forest or something? My thought is that because they're so wrapped up in the portals and traveling to different realms, is that, could they be like interdimensional beings or something that are traveling between dimensions or the parallel worlds, like, catch a lot high and stuff, and that maybe they were traveling from one realm parallel whatever to Equestria, and somehow her brother got stuck here, but she waded through, and now she's trying to get him out. So we shall see. But of course, being a snow leopard, it's, well, what? Yes. Oh, okay. It's just too darn hot. It's just too darn hot. Which is what she's trying to do here. Yeah, being a snow leopard, she does not like being in Maretime Bay, because it just really is too hot. It's like, why can't it be cold back in the Arctic? So that is why she's currently hiding out in the cave from a portrait of a princess, because she was able to ice it and make it nice and cold and everything. But it's definitely slightly disconcerting because, well, I like that episode, and she's also lived inside of the Crystal Bright House, so she may as well have just picked the bush, hid out in the bush in front of the Crystal Bright House. So I definitely think we'll be seeing a lot more of Allura and Twitch in the very near future. And Twitch itself, at first I thought, he's just a minion supervillain, because we see him doing, like running, errands, doing minion-y kind of things, but it appears it could be more than that, because we see in the blocky wonkies, that Twitch is about to be hit by this giant magical blast, and Allura's like, Twitch, look out! And then leaps over to save him. And it's like, wow, it's like, she's done more for her supervillain than Oakley did for her entire run. And it might show that she might actually care about Twitch a little bit. And even, why did this bunny, team up with this giant snow leopard? It's like, being a snow leopard, she should look at Twitch and the ponies and be like, you look delicious. So there is definitely a story there that has not yet been told, and I hope that we get to see that in the near future. And it does appear that Twitch in some ways might also keep her motivated, because like all during the walkie-walkie, she's like, it's like, you want me to use the ice powers on the boulders? Fine, I don't see what good it will do, but I'll try. And definitely there's a little moment after she sees the Nova Charm being split up and destroyed. It's like, no, we're trapped here forever. Let's go back to the cave. It's like, basically, let's go. It's like, come on. It's like, let's go back to the cave and sulk. Basically what she's doing in that moment. And then there's this thing where Twitch is like, I'm not gonna let you give up, and basically rushes after her. So I also like that when those moments when she wants to like give up, that she just keeps pushing, keeps him, keeps Allura motivated and keeps pushing her forward. So there's definitely more to these supervillains than meets the eye, and looking forward to seeing what truly motivates them. Particularly because Clear Tail is apparently giving them an opportunity for a second chance. But so we shall see what happens in the future. So overall, I really like these characters because they are definitely more than they appear. And that, like the main six, they have good points, bad points, and are multi-talented and multi-interested, and they're definitely not more than they're definitely more than just this or that. They have multiple sides to them. And I really like that Opaline was not just a supervillain to be defeated, she was more like a character that had to be overcome. They had to overcome her greed and envy with the community and the strength and the friendship and the unity of the ponies. And Allura and Twitch at first just feel like another supervillain and minion to replace the one that we just defeated, but there's definitely more going on here, and I look forward to learning more. And overall, I like these characters, and I look forward to seeing them more in the future. So, I don't know. I don't think we have time. So you really want to ask questions? I will be in the back, I guess. So as always, thank you for coming and enjoy the rest of SeaquestriaFest. And until next time, this is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.